So in this segment, I'm going to be sharing with you about following up with the property and contracting it and closing quickly. So after you have negotiated the deal, you've made the offer, the key is to get it across the finish line. So exactly how do we do that? That's in fact where I see a lot of investors who even get past the first steps of getting the deals pre-screened and getting them negotiated, then get sometimes jammed up. And it's really a simple thing. I have a 2-page purchase agreement that I have, and if you're in the local neighborhood of where the house is, go over there and meet the seller in person and take the agreement with you and have it ready to get okayed. That's really how we do it. If you are not in the area, then you can use some form of online electronic signature. I have software that I operates in my business, CRM, and it not only does the follow-up for me, in fact, make sure your follow-up is lined up. So when the contract doesn't get signed or when a seller wants you to follow up with them, that they don't just fall off. 7 out of 10 of your deals, once you turn this into a business, will probably come from your follow-up. So we get the contract, we fill it out, simple 2-page front and back, a legal size form, and it states the purchase price and what the terms are we agreed to and what the down payment is if there is any, and what the monthly payment is and interest rate if that's applicable or if there's an underlying debt. And there's only a few segments, probably less than a dozen blanks that we fill out, and then we send it over to our attorney for closing. Now, through this process, it is key to communicate with the seller. Now, on following up with them, it's important you have, whether it's a manual system like I did when I started or a software like I have now that follows up with these people. I've literally bought houses 2 years after the initial contact with the person because we continue to follow up. So make sure you're following up with them. When it's contracted though, still, the work's not over yet. So make sure as soon as you've contracted it and the seller has signed either electronically or in person, and you have them, I also have them sign an authorization release information. It's a simple 1-page sheet. If there's an underlying debt, gives my closing attorney the ability and authority to call and confirm the amounts on the mortgage and all of those things. And we send it over to move forward toward a closing. Every creative financing deal, we always use real estate attorneys to close. Write this down. Always close with attorneys. Why? Because anytime there's an ongoing relationship with the buyer or the seller, I want to have an attorney to sign the closing. Again, our desire is that we do every deal that's always a win-win-win. We love seeing sellers who need help being presented with the help they need from us. That makes our day. And we love being the answer to their prayer when they need that help selling their house and we're able to purchase it, take that load off their shoulders. I will say though, in all the many deals I've done over the years, most go as planned. If there's ever one that doesn't, you will be very grateful you had it signed with an attorney. It protects you, it protects the seller, it protects everybody, and makes sure everything is done right. When it comes to your paperwork, don't let it scare you. Make sure your attorney reviews it and says it's okay in the state of which you're buying the property in. If you're buying a house in Arizona, then make sure you got an Arizona attorney reviewing the paperwork and closing with such. Wherever it is, find an attorney, close with an attorney, have everything signed with an attorney, and it just protects everyone, and you'll be grateful you did. Move forward to closing as fast as possible. Maybe you say, but Andrew, what about the closing money? Reality says that if we negotiate the deals right, it shouldn't be that much. I also understand if you're in Florida, as I do business there, that there's transfer tax that can be quite substantial. And if you're in other states, some of them don't even have transfer tax or has a smaller amount. So it can be a substantial check. Again, at the end of the day, it's not that big of one. Pick a state where they don't have transfer tax and go do a couple of deals and get some money in the bank so you can ramp this thing up into a full cash flowing business. Don't let the needing of the dime stop you from getting to the dollars. You can probably find a partner that'd put up the money. Be awfully sad to see you give up 50% of a $50,000 long-term profit for somebody to write you a $5,000 check to close, but half of 50 is better than 100% of nothing. So if that's the case, then find somebody else to do the deal with you. Regardless of whatever it takes, close quickly. Get this thing moved across the finish line as fast as possible and get ownership of the property. When it comes to building your portfolio, there is no faster and better way to do it than using the creative financing that I'm sharing with you. Get the purchase agreement signed ASAP. If you're doing it virtually, get it signed as soon as you get off the phone. A few minutes later, get it sent to the seller and get it okayed. If you're getting out to the house and meet them in person, same day or the next day, and get it okayed. Move toward closing as quickly as possible. Get the benefits of the ownership of the property. And then, if you're not sure what you're going to do with it afterwards, there's two options. Number one, you can contract it and find your buyer prior to closing. That's an option. The other way you can do it is to contract it to close right away, and as long as the terms are something you're comfortable with, of course, you can Airbnb it if that's an area that supports that. My most common exit strategy is I lease option a lot of things. I love lease options. That's not what this class today is about. Lease options get me a payday up front, a front end, non-refundable option deposit, a monthly cash flow that the tenant buyer pays, and then if and when they get their bank loan and cash me out, a back-end payday, whatever profits left there. And so I bought a house for $400,000 and $20,000 down, and a monthly payment of $1,500 a month, gave $375 for it, and it was worth $400. Then I turn around and lease option it with perhaps $40,000 or $50,000 down, and a monthly payment more than the monthly that I have outgoing, and then a back-end sell price. You can mark it to top dollar because your buyer is buying terms, and you can profit the difference. So lease option is my favorite exit strategy. Even if you're just doing a regular rental, if you're a landlord doing a regular rental, this is still a way to grow your portfolio. While regular rentals are my least favorite form to go, and when we meet in person or you see me on another class, you'll hear me talking all about why I love lease options. Again, get the contract as soon as possible, move toward the closing as quickly as possible, follow up, communicate with the seller through, and this is very important. When you leave off with the seller after they've signed the contract, either in person or online, let them know the next steps. So when I'm done with the seller meeting and I have the signed agreement, I'm going to do something like, and so your next steps will be, you'll hear from the real estate attorney to schedule the closing date. Any questions you have in the meantime, here's the number to reach me at. And I'll see you in a few weeks at closing, or if it's virtual, the attorney will see you in a few weeks at closing. Either way, let them know the next step so there's no confusion. If you've got to get a walkthrough done prior to closing and you're in the area, you can walk through and do it. If you're out of the area, you can hire an inspector or an appraiser, or frankly, I a lot of times just hire local boots on the ground to go to a walkthrough and grab some photos. So many ways to cover that. Don't let those minor details stop you from getting the deal done. One of my favorite ways to do it, regardless of whether you're looking for more rental properties, more cash flow, properties to lease option, or Airbnb properties, creative finance is by far my favorite way to do it. That concludes this lesson. Thank you all so much for watching. I trust you had an amazing time hearing all about the inside scoop on creative finance from a guy who's done hundreds of these transactions. And I am very excited to see you get your real estate business started or to the next level using the information I gave you in these classes. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to our time together and hopefully even meet you in person one day very soon.